limits some time here, so maybe we can now move on to the second session. Thank you once again, Iqbal and Ms. Kazi. So now as we complete the first session, please join me once again to welcome our new moderator from Maldives Monetary Authority. Allow me to welcome Mr. Nazeeh, who is the manager from Maldives Monetary Authority. Nazeeh also currently works in the Financial Sector Development and Licensing Division of the Maldives Monetary Authority. He is actively engaged in the licensing of payment system and payment service providers in the Maldives, while also he's contributing to the development and expansion of the digital payment system across the country. Nazeeh has been very actively involved in the key national initiatives, including the development of digital payment infrastructures and also policy frameworks that are largely contributing to the implementation of the Maldives instant payment system, FAVARA, and the digital finance components of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy. So welcome, Nazeeh. I would also now like to offer this platform to you for another 40 minutes. And then please do introduce your esteemed speaker as well. Over to you, Nazeeh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Nancy, for the warm introduction and for handing over the session to me. Before I begin, let me just highlight that I completely agree with Mr. Iqbal from Bangladesh Bank. SARFII's The Innovation Lounge is a great platform for sharing knowledge and also learning from one another. And Mr. Iqbal's and Kazi's presentation on student banking was very highly informative and insightful. And as rightly pointed out, the success of these kind of initiatives should not be measured merely on the number of accounts opened, but how actively and meaningfully these accounts are being used. Now, it's my pleasure to welcome you all for today's session on Maldives Financial Inclusion Initiative, Bridging Gap in Access to Finance and Fostering Innovation in Payment Infrastructure. Now, in today's session, we will look into how we can make financial services more accessible, inclusive, and responsive to the needs of people as well as businesses, and about the important initiatives being undertaken in the Maldives to advance financial inclusion. Now, if you look into the recent past few years, we have had several major milestones, including the launch of FAVARA, Maldives Instant Payment System, in 2023, the introduction of National Financial Inclusion Strategy in 2025, and the establishment of a separate entity, Payment Maldives, for the development of national financial payment infrastructure. While these are important initiatives in their own right, they all share one common goal: strengthening financial inclusion and improving access to the financial services for everyone across the country. Now, in today's session, we will first hear about the broader policy vision, strategy, and national priorities that are guiding these efforts. This will be presented by Mr. Ibrahim Shaugee, Managing Director of Financial Sector Development at Maldives Monetary Authority. And then we will move on to how this vision or the strategies are being implemented in practice through developments in payment infrastructure and digital financial services. Ms. Mariyam Shaba, Chief Operating Officer and Acting CEO of Payment Maldives, will present this part. To begin, it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Ibrahim Shaugee, Managing Director of Financial Sector Development at Maldives Monetary Authority. Mr. Shaugee provides strategic leadership across key areas such as financial inclusion, consumer protection, financial literacy, Islamic finance, credit information, and financial institution licensing. And over the years, he has played an important role in several national initiatives related to financial sector development and inclusion. And particularly, I would like to highlight the National Financial Inclusion Strategy and also Inclusive National Affordable Housing Scheme, the details of which we will be discussing today. So without any further ado, Shaugee, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Nazeeh. Nazeeh has highlighted a bit on our National Financial Inclusion Strategy. So can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, When we first started looking at developing a national inclusion strategy, we noticed that a key challenge that we faced was, although there had been multiple fragmented initiatives by various government agencies, financial institutions, financial regulators, to address access to finance, uh, as well as financial consumer empowerment, financial literacy. But there was no common national goal, there was no direction, and we faced lack of data as a huge issue. So in 2022, we came up with a demand side survey on which we thought we'll base our national financial inclusion strategy. So we found various gaps in access to finance. Although Maldives has relatively high bank account usage, around 95% of adults have bank accounts, but we noticed that there are certain groups which were being left out of the financial system, as well as although the 95% of the population had bank accounts, usage was very limited. So we thought we'll come up with various strategies to address these issues. Next slide, please. Yeah, so based on the demand side survey as well as various supply side data we had, we came up with this NFI framework. And the strategy, as Nazeeh has mentioned, was launched in 2025 December. So we are almost 6 months or five and a half months into the implementation of the strategy. Um, for the strategy, we decided to focus on four major target groups: women, elderly, youth, and MSMEs. These target groups were identified based on the demand side survey data as well as various supply side data we had collected over the years. And as for the focus of the strategy, we identified five major pillars which we wanted to work on. So, access to finance, various initiatives to broaden access, as well as usage of financial services was one of the main pillars. Then we came up with Islamic finance, digital finance, inclusive green finance, consumer empowerment, and financial literacy. Right. So, in today's presentation, we'll focus on three initiatives within three of these pillars: access to finance, Islamic finance, and digital finance. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, as I mentioned, Islamic finance is one of the key pillars of our national financial inclusion strategy. Maldives being 100% Muslim country, we foresee huge potential for Islamic finance in the country. At the moment, our banking sector, almost 24% of the banking sector is Islamic banks. But we thought it could be increased. It could be taken to around 50% of the banking sector. And another key concern we noticed within the Islamic finance was the lack of Islamic social finance instruments. We do have a nationalized and institutionalized zakat system, but as I'm sure most of us would be aware, zakat collections can only be distributed to certain categories of people. So there are other categories of people who are kind of left out of the institution and there is zakat mechanisms. But Maldives has huge potential for other types of Islamic social finance. instruments such as Sadaqa or Waqf. So we thought we'll focus on that and those components within this pillar. And as for access to finance, we focus mostly on ways in which our identified target groups can be offered additional or expanded services and facilities to financial products and services, as well as enhancing data collection and reporting was identified as a key policy priority to address access to finance. So under Islamic finance, we came up with the Maldives Islamic Social Finance Initiative, which we call SARFII. So this initiative formalizes Islamic social finance within the formal Islamic banking system. And as for a key headline policy intervention under access to finance is the INA scheme. It's the Inclusive National Affordable Housing Scheme. Can we have the next slide, please? The third pillar which we identified was digital finance. Nazeeh has already mentioned a couple of policy interventions which we have included under the digital finance pillar, one of which is the introduction of a specialized corporate entity to develop and operate and manage the payment systems of the country. So Payment Maldives was established under this pillar, under this objective. And Ms. Shaba will go through the details of various initiatives which have been undertaken, as well as our future plans for the Payment Maldives. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. So I'll focus on the other two initiatives which we have introduced under the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, which is the INA scheme and MISFI. So I'm sure anybody who has visited the Maldives would be aware of how of the housing challenges the Maldives faces. Our capital city Male is one of the most highly high density capital cities in the world. We don't have any land available for housing or any other type of developments in the capital city. So the major challenges we are facing is land availability. Means, of course, any available land is extremely expensive. At the same time, our dispersed geography makes any construction projects extremely expensive. On the third angle, our financial sector, the rates are also quite expensive. So these three factors make affordable housing a significant challenge in the country. On top of this, our population is mostly concentrated in the capital city. Almost 1/3 or close to half of the population live in the capital city. So affordable housing has become a serious challenge, which leads to other social issues as well. So MMA thought we would come up with an intervention which could address some of these issues which we face in the housing market. In 2016, around that period, also MMA came up with an affordable housing scheme, but at that time the design of the scheme was a bit different. We just introduced a regulation which required licensed banks to allocate a certain percentage of their housing portfolios to affordable housing. facilities at a fixed rate of interest. So that was a very successful scheme, but it did not address all the challenges we faced in the market. So we thought we'll come up with a new scheme which would address some of the challenges which we faced in the implementation of the earlier scheme, as well as some of the market challenges which we see. At the basic structural level, the scheme is designed as a regulatory intervention which requires or which mandates all licensed banks to contribute 10 to 15% of their loan portfolio amount to a housing fund created by MMA. So this meant that we were able to generate about 3.5 billion rupiah for the fund. Can we have the next slide, please? So the scheme allows banks to finance designated affordable housing projects. Something new which we did this time was allow a designated bank to be involved directly in the development phase of the housing projects, right? So we thought as supply, housing supply is also an issue we face. We thought this would allow us to immediately increase housing supply as well, rather than just focusing on providing housing finance facilities. So under this scheme, our designated financial institution is allowed to directly develop properties. They will develop properties using the housing fund created by MMA. So once the properties are developed, those properties will be leased out on Sharia compliant lease ending with ownership basis to affordable to eligible beneficiaries. The basis of this scheme is a regulation which we once again introduced, which mandates the contribution by the banks, as well as the deployment of those contributed funds through this scheme. As for eligibility, our main criteria is that it has to be first time home buyers or first time home owners. So the beneficiaries or the customers must not have any other housing facility or housing available to them at the moment. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, so in this slide, we have depicted the operational model of the scheme. So MMA, as I mentioned, issued a regulation which mandates the contribution of all licensed banks to this housing fund, to the housing scheme. Plus, MMA will provide high-level regulatory oversight of the scheme. On the other hand, the government is formulating national housing policies, as well as provide subsidized land for the scheme. As I mentioned, the availability of land is a huge challenge we face in the capital, what we call the Greater Malé region. Any available land is quite expensive. So for this scheme's purpose, the government has allocated land free of charge. So it's the contribution of the government to the housing scheme. So we have designated Bank of Maldives our national bank, our leading bank, to manage the scheme. They have created a subsidiary which would handle the development of the properties. And once the properties are developed, Bank of Maldives will offer it to eligible beneficiaries on a lease ending with ownership basis. So for 25 years, the banks as contributors to the fund will own the property. Ownership will be transferred to the customer upon final payment of the facilities, which would be about 25 years. But we had decided through the regulation the maximum profit rate that would be charged for these facilities would be 5%. There would not be any equity contribution requirement by the customers. So contributing banks would be given that 5% return. So we are treating this as an investment pool. The housing fund is treated as an investment pool to which the contributing banks place as an investment their regulatory mandated contribution, to which they would be provided a 5% return. So this is the basic structure of the scheme, but we can address any questions regarding this scheme down the line once Shaba presents on the payments aspect of the inclusion strategy. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, the second initiative I wanted to touch on was MISFI. Basically, MISFI, the idea is to formalize Islamic social finance into the formal Islamic banking sector of the Maldives. It promotes financial inclusion. Basically, it allows various social finance funds to be channeled to people who are not able to afford formal financial facilities and services. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, so in the interest of time, I'll skip this slide also. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, so this is the operational model of the scheme of the MISFI initiative. It basically allows Islamic banks to offer deposit-linked products whereby the customers are given the opportunity to contribute a certain percentage of any profits generated from the deposits to this scheme, as well as to channel individual as well as corporate donation as well as CSR funds for this purpose. So once the funds are generated, we collaborate. The banks are allowed to collaborate with what we are calling change makers, basically NGOs, which would channel funds either onto charitable causes or social causes, mostly blended financing, microfinance, or to a bit of a long-term development focused initiatives. So MMA's role in this MISFI would be to provide oversight as well as to ensure the operations are going as according to the objectives which we have set, as well as ensure the impact of the initiative is what we want. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, so that's what we wanted to cover under those two initiatives, and we'll address any questions you may have down the line. Shaba, over to you, or Nazeeh, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Shaugee, for the very insightful presentation on the high-level overview of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, the Affordable Housing Scheme, as well as the Islamic Social Financing Initiative. Maybe if any participant has any question, you can just type in the chat, because that had to be shortened a bit. Now we will move on from the policy and strategy perspective to the implementation side, looking at how these initiatives are being translated into the practical solutions and infrastructure. For this, I'm pleased to invite Ms. Mariyam Shaba, Chief Operating Officer and Acting CEO of Payment Maldives Private Limited. Ms. Shaba is a banking and finance professional with more than 22 years of experience across lending, SME banking, credit risk management, and digital banking initiatives. She currently leads efforts at Payment Maldives focused on developing national digital payment infrastructure and advancing interoperable payment systems that support financial inclusion. Shaba, floor is yours.
Thank you, Nazeeh, for the introduction, the great introduction. Yeah. So, hi everyone. I will be highlighting based on the activities of Payment Maldives and a little bit of overview of our payment infrastructure and our role in financial inclusion in Maldives. So, as you all know, Maldives is geographically scattered chain of islands, which has inherently had a lot of challenges in financial inclusion. So, MMA has actually taken an initiative to for the financial inclusion to enhance this. And for Payment Maldives, we will be the key catalysts in providing these financial services, digital financial services, and payment operations in the Maldives. So Maldives has had Maldives IPS, an IPS, instant payment system, developed since 2023 and which is in action. So now this activity is segregated to a separate legal entity under the Companies Act, and which is 100% owned by MMA to a private limited company. So as you know, from a regulator's perspective and changing this into a corporate model like in India, UPI. So we will be the key payment system operator and developer in the Maldives. So our vision is to uh, actually build a digital payment ecosystem delivering a secure, inclusive, and innovative financial service that empowers people and grow businesses and derive sustainable economic progress. Our mission is to deliver a secure, inclusive, future-ready payment infrastructure that escalates digital innovation, promotes financial inclusion, and supports Maldives' journey towards a sustainable digital economy. Can we have the next slide, please? So our main objectives are we foresee to operate structure and resilient retail payment system. We foresee to expand access to modern payment services comprehensive to financial inclusion. We are investing in research and integrating emerging payment technologies to our IPS system. So, in which we will be able to provide a fast, convenient, and affordable payment services for all users, for personal or retail or to businesses and G2G as well. We serve as a catalyst for innovation and support fintech companies, foster international collaborations to strengthen cross-border payment system. So in addition to this, I would like to highlight a few pointers here. So as you know, as Maldives has been growing in this technological ecosystem where all the banks and all the players in the system have actually established their own fragmented pieces of digital services happening. So Payment Maldives uh, wants to actually bring this to an interoperable system and then provide these participants with a uniform platform to with sharing technologies and costs with all our banks and payment service providers. Can we have the next slide, please? So, as you know, the Maldives, having said that, we are geographically dispersed, and about one third of the population resides in the Maldives, the capital area. So it has been a challenge that one of which is that inherent challenges that we foresee is the technological literacy among our uh, our population. So one of which is quite hard for us to actually navigate through these challenges. So for once, building the trust across these institutions and aligning different priorities and comparative dynamics under a shared integral framework is one of the key challenges. And the other is technical integration. As I have mentioned, each member or each bank or each PSP has had different their own technical integrations. So to bring them to a uniform structure is one of the early challenges that we have faced, which has led to uh, we foresee ourselves to be very tech savvy, but right now and a little bit earlier, we have been having this problem or challenge that Maldives is a very dependable on cash-based behaviors. So to shift from a cash-based system to a digital platform, it is giving early challenges to us. So as you know, with the geographical disbursement of the islands, most of the banking services did not reach before. So it did not reach then, but now most of the islands are with ATMs or self-service banks as such. So the early challenges that we faced were that it was very hard for us to fully shift cash-based transactions to fully digital. So, as I have mentioned, there is a limited public understanding that needs continuous engagement to build confidence and capability. So, this is and this was one of the challenges that we have faced and we are facing. The next one, please. So, Maldives has our own instant payment system like UPI India. So we have MIPS, we have branded them, it is called Favara. So Favara is one of the systems that we have introduced and are now inoperable among 7 banks and 1 PSP right now. So, basically, this provides a unified payment gateway and an API platform for us to transact securely from one bank to another within the country. So it is an instant payment system that would not require the clearing, and this will be credited immediately. So in this system, we have instant clearing module, liquidity management, smart addressing service, and we have open banking, payment initiation, and real-time access to funds. Can we have the next slide, please? So when we look at the infrastructure, this is designed to increase innovation and competition in the payment industry. As you're aware that Maldives financial sector is uh, mainly uh, led by one financial institution. So this has led a lot of less competition in the market. So this will transform the payments landscape in the Maldives. and this will establish an open, fast, and modular secure instant payments infrastructure for all the ecosystem. This will establish a level playing field for existing and potential market players. Next one, please. Can we have the next slide? So for the Favara services, right now we are having, it is an account-to-account transfer. So Favara services is actually now able to securely and instantly transfer services from one account to the other. So as an overlay services, we are giving a Favara ID. The initiator submits a request to initiate a transaction via the digital channel using an alias. The initiator will receive account details such as the account holder's name to confirm that this is the intended pay. However, a request is where payee initiates a P2P R2P via the channel using the account number or alias. The payer accepts or rejects. The credit transfer is initiated, and then the transaction happens. The single transaction limit is set for risk purposes, so it is MVR 10,000. The account verification feature, this is to ensure that the credit transfer or request to pay is sent to the correct account prior to conduct the transaction. For a recall is to request the beneficiary to resend the money sent mistakenly or by a fraudulent activity. We have the next one. So we have set the regulator has set a national QR code standard, which will be uniformly utilized by all of the participating banks and participating payment payment service providers. So this QR standard uniforms all of the ecosystem players. So this will enable us to, in future, use this system through Favara. Can we have the next slide, please? So benefit of the system, technical wise, this is affordable, low cost, improved access, improved efficiency, it is safe and secure, and supports SMEs, MSMEs as well. Can we have the next slide, please? So in sum, you can see our Favara statistics, and I would like to highlight that this month we have actually crossed 100 billion worth of lifetime transactions through Favara. So I would like to highlight that this system is accepted by all of our uh, all of our ecosystem, and it is in fact very secure, and people have increased their adoption as well. So this is a breakdown for 2024 and 2025. So I would like to highlight at this moment that we've crossed the transaction volume indicates that this platform is generally accepted by all our participants, and it is securely, it's an establishment to securely transact from one bank to another. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, so short-term priorities actually, we are looking forward on basically three aspects. So I would like to highlight that with Payment Maldives being spin off to a separate legal entity, actually we would like to established few steps that we would want to have it to sustain it. So, for example, the resources, tech resources in the Maldives are quite low. So, in addition to technological infrastructure, we are also looking to establish a fintech institute to actually create technological human resources. So this we could have this system. We could actually sustain this system here. So the other area is that we are implementing strategies for the banks to organically on board with us to utilize our services or support this initiative. So what we are strategizing to do is that we are going to provide the banks and participating institutions to actually share or provide them the technology and then them to integrate with us in this journey. So, by this way, the banks will be able to reduce their costs and then increase the volume through our rail. In addition to that, as you all know, digital transformation comes with a lot of risks, cybersecurity risk, fraudulence, and people actually scared to use the digital resources. So we will be in a medium term, we will be establishing a fraud intelligence unit that would actually centrally monitor digital frauds in the country. So, in addition to the overlaying services, we are trying to give account verification services for SOEs and government. We are establishing a centralized dispute management services for all participants. We are trying to establish a bill aggregating services. We are uh, we are uh, we are connecting, integrating cross-border connections with India for right now. So we will be going live with the UPI pay-to-pay transactions in hopefully in July this year, and P2M payments in February 2027. So all these initiatives will further include the unbanked population, say financially include most of the Maldivian population to this system. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shaba. And thank you for the overview of the existing established instant payment system, as well as the plans which are currently in the pipeline. So, Nancy, would you like to come in for the quick Q&A?
Nazeeh, yes, thank you. I see Ibrahim has been very efficient and has been answering all the questions in the chat box.
Yes.
But having said that, there is one question from our previous speaker, Ms. Kazi herself, and I guess this one, maybe Ibrahim, maybe in the process of answering, but maybe we can hear from Ibrahim on this question. The question is, what lessons from the Favara UPI implementation could be useful for other small island economies pursuing cross-border instant payment connectivity? Maybe not to Ibrahim, but to Shaba.
Well, actually, one of the main challenges that we face in Maldives is that in our financial sector there is already existent frameworks. I mean, segments of digital payments that is already happening and people have already adopted. So to switch from this fragmented system to a centralized interoperable system, there could be resistance from the banks as well, the commercial banks as well as the participating, mostly the leading banks. So that is one thing that I would like to highlight. However, we our strategy to tackle this problem or the challenge is that we are trying to organically onboard all these banks on a uniform platform. As I have previously mentioned, we would like to provide them the technology and then they could integrate to us. So our view in payment Maldives is that by switching to their commercial platform, to this national platform, we will assure that there will not be losses, financial losses in terms of the profits they are currently getting. So we would like to establish this kind of commercial terms with the banks and financial other institutions that they would only benefit from this, and the technology will be shared, and then for at least the local payments could to be done through the MIPS.
Thank you, Shaba. Nazeeh, if you have any reflection on your speakers, you may do so.
Yes, few things I just thought I would highlight. For one key takeaway could be that how payment infrastructure can become a catalyst for broader economic transformation. For example, establishment of payment Maldives and development of Favara. It shows clear commitment towards interoperability, innovation, and instant digital payments. Then, as Shaba also highlighted, one other important aspect is implementation of any of the key initiatives that we highlighted today, onboarding the participants, especially the banks or payment service providers who are big players in the market. That is a key challenge. So that's something we need to approach very strategically. Then only that is a key determinant of the success of any initiative. Then another important reflection is the emphasis on the inclusivity beyond technology itself, such as the INA scheme, the housing finance scheme, as well as Maldives social finance initiative. That shows how financial inclusion can directly support social development, affordable housing, and also the resilience of the community. So overall, I think this highlights the importance of collaboration between the regulator players such as Payment Maldives and other government institutions as well. That would be it from my side. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you everyone for joining the session today. On behalf of Maldives Monetary Authority, I would like to thank you all.
Thank you, Nazeeh. Thank you for wrapping up very nicely in 3 key points. I also was reflecting myself on those key points that you reflected. Yes, very importantly, payment infrastructure is definitely a catalyst for our economic development. And definitely when Shaba mentioned that, Maldives is in the process of onboarding and transiting into a unified platform. Although it's a challenge, but also I think it's a big opportunity for the Maldivians. And yeah, very interestingly, I think on Ibrahim's presentation to having INA as the initiative from Maldives, and particularly putting it under the overall framework of the financial inclusion. I guess this is something unique to most of the members in the AFI network. We may have some common pillars that are there, but then in terms of access to finance, having this social finance angle and also inclusivity of housing finance really stands out in Maldives National Financial Inclusion Framework. So congratulations for that, and we hope to see and wish you all the best in implementing onboarding onto the unified platform, as well as all the best to your the INA scheme. So having said that, I do not have any further reflections, but I must say that both the sessions today were a very good trigger for all of us. I guess when we have reflection on our own, apart from the reflection that we have done, I'm sure everybody will have your own reflection to look into your own financial inclusion policies that are related to students, that are related to youth, also in your NFIS and also payment infrastructure initiatives. I think this was very well presented by all our esteemed speakers, and thank you so much for your time and your presentations today.